Hi, this is Joanne Hewins. I am trying to do a Facebook Live with you today, and I started out with some problems, and I hope that maybe somebody will join me while I'm doing this, and we'll see how it goes. I tried to decide whether or not to show my face because I've never done that before. Let me turn these speakers down. Um, I've never done that before, really, but I've just gotten so nervous now that I'm just not going to do that until maybe at the end. If everything goes okay, I'll turn it and talk to you for real. My name is Joanne Hewins again. I have a blog at lovetocreate.typepad.com. And just wanted to share with you about 4 cards today that we are going to make using the very same layout. These are relatively simple cards, and we'll go ahead and get started. So the card that started this out is this Merry Moose card. This is the stamp set that we're going to be using. And this one was a carryover. It was in last year's holiday catalog, and it has shown up again in the August-December mini catalog. We knew that it was coming, and it's popular. It has a punch that goes with it, but we're not using that punch today. So let me get started. We're also going to be using some birthday sentiments. This is from the Itty Bitty Birthdays, and this is for our sayings. It's a really good little birthday set. So let me set those aside and we'll get started. Yesterday I had a class in a little cafe that's not far from here, and we made this card at the class. And so this is what made me start thinking about how this simple layout could be used to make so many things. So we're using a crumb cake base for this card. Hey Tina and Jean, thank you for looking. And this is cut at 4 1/4 by 11, and then I have scored it at 5 1/2. And I will use my bone folder to burnish my fold there. And we are going to stamp the front. So we're going to be using Early Espresso ink. And I'm just going to start kind of right in the middle here with my first mousse. And then I'm just going to work around that, just kind of going out this way and out from the back. And the card that I made already, if you really look, it's not straight, and I don't think it takes away so much from the card. So hopefully people aren't going to be looking at your card with a microglass. So anyway, we're just going to, microglass is not a word, but I can't think of the word. But anyway, I'm just going to kind of fill in now with the mousse, and if he comes off the page, that's okay. It just makes him look like he's still walking through there. Microscope. Okay, there I go. All right, so there's the front, and then we're also going to stamp the mousse on a piece of Very Vanilla, and I'm just going to stamp that right in the middle there. And then I'm going to be coloring with blends, and I'm going to be using the crumb cake blends. I'm going to use the lighter color for the antlers and then the darker for the body. And I'm not going to really do a whole lot of shading on this. And I'm going to try to color quickly, so forgive me if I go out of the lines. I did have trouble with my stand. I have never set it up and had a big black blob show up like that. So I've moved it in a completely different place than I usually have it. But I think it's doing okay. Now for this coloring, I'm using the small end of the marker. This has a brush tip and then a more fine point tip. And so I'm using the fine. I find I like that better on a lot of the things that I do. So we'll finish coloring in his legs. And I think just to maybe smooth that out a little bit, I'm going to come on with this, but it's going to work out. Now I'm actually going to have a mousse on the inside, so I'm going to go ahead and stamp the inside mousse and color that one. Real quick. Okay. Now I could take time and do a lot of shading and probably make that look a little better, but I think it looks good enough. I might like this camera better over to the side, or the stand over to the side. I feel like I can see a little bit better. And that actually does, like I say, blend into a little bit better as it sits there. We'll just do a little bit more of that. Okay, and then I'm going to take the little snowflake stamp from the set and just add a few snowflakes around this mousse. And then I think I'll add a few here. I didn't have that on my original, but I think it needs it. And I think I'm going to go ahead and do the inside of the card. Now let me talk to you for a minute about this stamp. When I put the words, when I attached the words to the stamp, I did it crooked. And so I have it on there so that it will stamp straight, although it doesn't look like that it will. So a hint might be, if you have a stamp like this, just put it on so that it will stamp straight. And actually, that's not very straight, but do as I say. So I'm going to go ahead and glue the inside to the card. Since I have it done. And then we're going to glue this designer paper. This is from the 'Tis the Season designer series paper. And I have cut that. They're not the same for every card I'm going to do. Let me measure that real quick. This one is almost 2 inches. It was a scrap that I already had. Almost 2 inches by 4 1/4. And if you'll notice, I'm using my grid paper to help me to get this on straight. So I'm making sure I've got it straight here and I'm making sure that it matches those grid lines across there, and then I know that it is straight. And let me get a pair of scissors. Another thing that I do a lot of times is cut my designer paper just a tad longer if it's not going to waste for other cards, and then I can trim it exactly where it needs to go. I have this fear of having a nice piece of paper, it's too short. Of course, I can go back and trim the card base if I need to do that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stamp. I'll put my early espresso away, but I'll bring it back out, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp my saying, and I'm going to stamp it out toward this end. And that's a little bit crooked, so I'm going to try it again on the other side. That's better. And what I'm going to do next is cut out the mousse. I'm going to be using the stitched shaped dies, and I'm going to be using the circle, and it is the second largest circle. So let me just bring in my Big Shot real quick. I started to go ahead and have these done, and I just decided that I could do it online. So I'm going to be using my new stamp cut and emboss machine. I have my base plate. I have the, what is that called? The, well, I use that with the cutting. And then I have a clear plate, my mousse, my die, and then I have a top one. And I'm just going to roll that through. There might be some shaking. Tina, I love the mousse too. It has really grown on me. I know you're from the north, but when I first saw it, I thought, there's no mousse around here. Why would I need a mousse? But you know what? I did need it. Needed it desperately. So there's our mousse. And I'm going to bring in some dimensionals and attach the mousse with dimensionals. See the little tops come off of that one, so I'll go ahead and use it. And Jean, you made this card yesterday. So you're getting to see it again. So I'm going to add this to the center of the card. And then we're going to work with the Celebrate You. I'm going to bring in this new Pick a Banners punch. And we are going to cut a banner from this piece. And I'm trying to see, I think I'm going to just trim that just a little. Now this piece is 1/2, and it was 4 1/4, so it's probably about 4 right now. And I'm going to put that in here. I'm going to turn it over. It's really not the exact width that's going to fit in here that great, but you can turn it over and kind of see when you have it in the middle. And there's that. So I'm going to put dimensionals on each end. And I'm actually going to put just a little bit of glue right in the middle. So this is going to go right from the edge of the paper. And I think I'm going to move it up a little bit higher than I had in my sample. There's the difference. I have the mousse up a little bit higher, so I think it needs that. And then I'm just going to take a glue dot and roll it up. And I have a little linen thread bow. that we will just stick right over here. Not sure that one looks that great, but so there's the first card that I made using this layout. So we'll pull that back in just a little while. And so the next card that I'm going to make, I'm going to be using the, I've got notes to myself on here. I'm going to be using the Loyal Leaves stamp set. And I've got this one recently during the stamp sale that we had. And I don't know what it is about leaves. And some of these leaves are very close to some others that we have, but I just ended up going ahead and getting it because I kind of coveted it for a while, to be honest. So let me pull out our supplies. And we are starting with a piece of Very Vanilla. This is thick Very Vanilla. And it is 4 1/4 by 11. Scored at 5 1/2, and we'll fold that and burnish it with our bone folder. And just like we did with the mousse, we're going to be doing some stamping with this one. So let me move that out of the way. And we're going to be using this leaf and this leaf. And then we're also going to be using this, these two sayings on ours. And then we're going to use a piece of designer paper that is from the Gilded Autumn Designer Series paper. So let me get ready to stamp on that. And I think I'm going to wait to show you and just let you see it as I go without showing you what it's going to look like. We'll see how that works. So I'm going to be starting with Mint Macaron ink. I keep forgetting to show you Mint Macaron ink and this leaf. And so I'm going to just stamp here. Now these are big leaves, so they're going to take a lot of room. And then I'm going to do another one here. And I'm going to come down and do another one here. Okay, I'm going to bring in my Early Espresso and stamp that with the other leaf. So I'm just going to come in and stamp in some of the empty places here. And then I'm going to come back in with this other leaf and do one in there. Okay, so there's our background. And even though it's a stamp background, it's very, very different from that mousse that we used. So I'm going to take this, this Mint Macaron leaf and stamp it in the middle of my Very Vanilla square. That is 2 3/4 inches squared. And I'm going to bring in now the Stamp and Emboss machine, and we'll be cutting this out. We're still going to be using the stitch shapes, but this time I'm going to be using the second largest square to do that. So let me pull in the machine real quick. Okay, and I'll put down the leaf, our die. If you don't have the stitch shapes, they are almost a must. They just work for so many things. Okay, hope I didn't shake you too much there. And we'll move this out of the way again. Okay. Okay, I guess I better put that circle back. Right, so we're going to bring back in our base. We're going to glue down our Gilded Autumn. I have this one cut at 2 1/4 by 4 1/4. So we'll add a little bit of glue. To that. And then again, I'm going to use my grid paper to help me get that even across there. And I do have that just a tad larger. Let me even that up. Okay, and then we're going to attach our leaf. So let me add my dimensionals. Hey Tanya, how are you? Good to see you. And we'll take these off. And I'm going to add this in here. And this time I'm going to add a bow, but I'm not going to add it to the saying. I'm going to add it to the leaf. So I'm going to take another glue dot and just roll that up and attach it right in there for my bow. Okay, so it's going to go there. And now we're going to work with our saying. For the outside, we're going to have, you are strong, you are loyal, you are true. And that is going to be an early espresso. I'm glad you got your package, Tanya, and I apologize that it took me so long to send it. I've gotten complacent and lazy. I never want to leave the house anymore. Maybe that's a good thing because we need to stay in. Okay, and I'm going to have my sign this time right in there. I'm going to cut it again. And this one, the other one I think was 1/2. This one is 3/4 wide. I think the rest of them are 3/4 wide. So let me bring in my banner pick a punch again. I'll push that all the way in. I think that looks pretty straight. And again, we're going to add this with dimensionals. And this time, I'm going to add it just a little bit below the focal point. So I'll put dimensionals all the way across. So these are pretty much the same layout, but there is just a tiny bit of a difference. So this is going to go along here. So that's the front. And then for the inside of the card, I'm going to be using the mint macaron. And I'm going to just stamp some of these kind of down like we did before. And then we'll come in with our hero. You are my hero. So that's going to go in early espresso. And I'm going to try to straighten that up. And that's going to go there. Okay. So that's our finished card. So this is the inside. And here's the outside. So here's our moose. And then a completely different stamp set. But yet look how different the two cards look. So I'm going to pull in now my sample and show you that I messed this up big time. I might as well admit it. If you'll notice, this sample that I made is only 4 by 11 inches, and so it's too narrow. And then I also stamped the saying on the wrong side to boot. So anyway, there you go. So there are 2 of our 4 cards. All right, we're doing well. Okay, the next card that we're going to make is going to use the ornate style and the ornate thanks stamp sets. So I'm sorry, I got myself distracted trying to get a few things out of the way. So we're going to be using that, and we're still going to be stamping on the background to make our background, but this time it's going to be maybe a little bit different. We'll see. So I'm going to move those out of the way and pull in my supplies. Now when I have a class, you have your supplies all together in a little kit. And this time we're going to be using Mossy Meadow. And again, I'm doing the 4 1/4 by 11, 5 1/2 in the center. And we're going to be using this large stamp from the ornate style, and that's what we're going to be stamping over our background. So I'll move that just a little bit out of the way. Okay, so when I have a large stamp, I often like to just stamp, turn it upside down and stamp the ink that way. I see I got a little bit heavy-handed, and I'm going to tell you that you probably need to look at these things. And you can see I've gotten this off here and over in here, and oftentimes if you don't watch out about that, it's going to come out on your paper. So I'm going to just quickly get that out of the way, and we're going to stamp. I inked it again. Okay, I've got some here, but that's going to come off of the page, so I'm okay. And then we'll do one other little corner. So this gives a little bit of a difference to the background. It still makes it interesting. So we'll set that out of the way. And we're still going to be using designer paper. This is from the Ornate Garden Designer Series paper. And this one I cut 1 3/4 by 4 1/4. So we're going to go ahead and add that. I've gotten to where I like to use the glue because it just gives you a little bit of give that you may not have otherwise. And this is going to bug me, so I'm going to come back in with this stamp, and I'm going to put a little bit in that corner and a little bit there. Okay, I like that better. Okay, and this time we're going to use the little daisy that's in the ornate style, and I'm still using Early Espresso. We're going to stamp our flower in that color, and I'm going to stamp it over here because I'm going to use the scraps later. And we are going to color this with blends. So I'm going to pull those out. And we're going to be using the light and dark Old Olive and the light and dark Mango Melody. But I think I'm going to let that dry just a second, and we're going to go ahead and do our little strip. This one is 3/4 inches wide, and we're going to use the Thank You from the Ornate Thanks. And I'm going to stamp this in the Mossy Meadow. Okay, and stand up here a minute. Okay, good. All right, and I'm going to trim this a little bit shorter. And again, I'm going to bring in the Pick a Banner. Okay, and we'll go back to coloring our flower. Okay, and again, I'm going to be using the small end. Now, usually if you're going to color, you stamp with Memento ink, but I've gotten to where I do it some with a colored ink, usually a dark ink, and I just try not to go over the lines too much, and I haven't had much problem with them running or anything. Oh, and I'm also, okay, I knew I would, no, I'll just use this. I meant to bring in a different dark color, but we'll use this as the dark crumb cake, and it's fine. And then we're going to color with the light Mango Melody. And I guess I'm still using the small end. I just like it better. I feel like I'll definitely go out of lines if I use that big one around these edges. Okay. And I'm just going to use the darker mango to highlight some of those lines. Maybe around the center. And then I think I am going to use the larger end to just kind of go, I'm not going to go way out to the ends, but just kind of blend that together a little. Okay, so that takes care of that. This time we're going to be using the rectangle stitched shapes to cut out our flower, and we're going to be using the second one from the inside. So let me get the Big Shot, or well, it's not the Big Shot, the Cut and Emboss, to learn something new to say. And we're going to cut this out, and then for the fourth card we're going to be using a punch, so I won't need to get this out again. Okay. Oops. So we're going to get our dimensionals. I started to say I'm proud of myself. I haven't misplaced my dimensionals yet, but I've got another card to go, don't I? That seems to be my downfall, is misplacing things while I stamp. I bet you don't have that problem. Okay. Tina, are you doing on stage at home? So we're going to add this right here in the middle. And then I'm going to add the thank you with dimensionals at each end and a little bit of glue. Sorry about that noise every time. I'm using my shot glass from Brian's Fall Stamp Along, and it's sticky in the bottom. So every time I pull that out, it sticks a little and then lets go. Okay, so this is going to go right along here. So it's a little bit higher than before. And then we are going to use an embellishment on this one, but it's going to be the in color enamel dots. And I'm just going to take your pick tool and just kind of push that and pick it up, and we'll add a couple of these. And that is the front of the card. And let's work real quick on the inside. I just like to do the insides. So we're going to use Mossy Meadow, and the saying says, from all of us. Okay, so thank you from all of us, and we're going to finish by doing another one of these down in the corner like this. Okay, so we'll just glue this on the inside. Those dimensional backs. Okay. Now I do, when I put my insides or a mat down, I hold it corner to corner and kind of hover with it, with the glue down there, until I kind of think it's where I want it to be. So that's just how I do it. So here's the third card with that same layout, pretty much. And the last card that we're going to do is actually a Christmas card. So let me get that out. And we are going to be using Coming Home, the Coming Home stamp set. And we're going to be using Banner Year also. And I just realized that I didn't bring something that I need. I hate that when that happens. We'll go ahead and I'll see what I can figure out. So we are going to use Old Olive for this. In fact, I don't have my packet. Okay, I'm going to ask you to let me walk into the other room quickly. I apologize. Okay, I don't see it in there either, so who knows? I apologize to you. I'm going to talk to you with my sample and show you how I made it, and then we'll find out just what in the world is going on with my sample, and I left a punch. Okay, we won't do this one together. For this one, I did Old Olive, and this is, again, 4.5 by 11, and scored at 5.5, and we burnished that. Now, for this one, we're going to be using Old Olive ink, and I'm sorry, I'm still worried about this and what could have happened to my packet completely. Okay, well, we'll just go on. I have everything else. So we are going to be using the largest Christmas tree, and that is what we would use to stamp our background for this. So I really started right here, right where I thought the middle would be near the top. And then I just kind of zigzagged. I went up a little bit, and then I came back down and tried to make those even. And then I went here trying to look at where I had been, and then I went back to here looking at those, trying to get them straight. And then I started right here and did that tree, came down and did this one. I did one here, making it even with the one that's under there. Came back up and did this one, and then came back down and did this one. And then for the last row, I started in here and then went this way, up, and this way. So that's not as good as actually doing it with you, but I hope you get the idea. This paper is from Trimming the Town. It is cut at 2 inches by 4 1/4 and added to the background. Now, to do the car, I can do that with you. I'm going to stamp in the Memento ink, and I'm going to use the rest of the scrap for that. So I stamp the car. And it's going to have the little puff of smoke coming out of the back. Now I think I went maybe a little bit too far back on that other one, so I'm going to move it a little bit closer, but not that much closer. And then I'm going to put a tree. This is the smaller tree, and I'm going to put that kind of like that on there. All right, and then this is colored with blends. You know, maybe 4 cards is just too many for me to do. Because I have misplaced my green blends. Jean, I was so trying to show you I could do it. Okay, oh, here they are. So, let me get that out of the way. And so I colored the tree. Bring back in that dark crumb cake for your tree trunk. And I'm going to color a little bit down in here with a darker Old Olive. Okay. Then for the car, I am using the light and dark Pool Party color, and then the light smoky slate. So I'm going to go ahead and use that and do my wheels. Nice bumpers. And then we'll do the rest of the car in the light Pool Party. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and do the windows also. Okay. And then I'm going to add some of the darker around the windows. A little bit here on the wheel covers, or the wheel around the wheel, and then we'll do a little bit in here, and kind of in the corner of the windows. And then I think I'm going to use the brush and just get that blended a little bit better. Okay, and then we would have used the, oh, you know what? I don't need a punch because I ended up using a die. So that's one mystery solved. So we would cut this out, but since I can't really attach it to a card, I'm just going to leave it, and I didn't do a great job stamping that tree. For the saying here, I used the stamp Christmas Wishes, and it also was from the Banner Year stamp set. Banner Year. So I stamped that in the Old Olive, used the Pick a Banner punch to punch that out, making sure it was straight from the back, and attached that. Now, as an afterthought, I decided to add this ribbon, and this is the Snowflake Splendor ribbon. Now, on the sample I was going to make with you today, I was going to add that ribbon before I added the banner, and it was going to look much better than that one, and you weren't going to see this one. But it is what it is. So there's this card. This cutout piece is added with dimensionals, as was the other. I put a little bit of glue behind here and dimensional here. And I don't think I put one down on this end. I didn't. Okay. For the inside, I used the saying, "Be Merry," from the banner year punch. And then I did trees along the bottom the same way that I did on the front. So there you go. So let me pull in my 4 cards that we made today using the same layout, but with different stamp sets. And I think they're all very, very different. I really like them all. So what do you think? Do you like them? Okay. I hope so. What I would like to do is, I think this is Wednesday. I think on Monday I will do a drawing from anyone who has commented. And right now that's not very many people. But I'll do a random drawing, and we'll give some other people maybe a chance to look at the video and make a comment. And I would appreciate it if you would share with your friends the video that I just did, if you think it's good enough. And since the people who are on here already know me, I'm not going to worry about showing my face this time, but I think I'm going to try to do this every week. And I'll get around to it. So thank you so much. It's Joanne Hewins, lovetocreate.typepad.com. I would love to be your demonstrator if you need one. Thanks so much for joining me today. I appreciate it so much. Bye-bye.